Okay. My buddy got a new bike, um, and it's kind of a controversial brand. It's an Apollo, so I want to try it. I haven't rode it yet. I wanted to get my first impressions with you guys and test it out. Make sure. See, it might not be that bad. It sounds nice. I mean, it seems pretty sturdy. So we'll just have to see. Stick around, and I'll catch back with you whenever I'm on the bike. Not bad so far. Like, it's very stiff. It's got some hind end to it. Get my strap. I'm gonna pull in right here. So, really, I'm pleasantly surprised. I mean, it's very responsive. Now, I'm not used to the clutch yet, but I mean, it feels relatively similar to my KDX. It's not got as much balls as my KDX does, though, which I kind of expected. It is a 250. But it's not got the R's, like, it's not got an aggressive Like, I don't know what makes an R bike different from like an F, but it's pleasant. Like, it's a pleasant ride, but like it's got some balls to it. I don't know what the horsepower rating of this thing is, but I'll probably figure it out, and it'll probably be, I'll probably put it up on the screen just a second ago. But it's a 5-speed, but I mean, I'm driving it like a 2-stroke, which I mean, that's what I have, so. But yeah, like, so far I really like it. This thing's got better brakes than my bike. Try something here. Let me see if this thing is in. Let me see if the choke's on. Nope. Wait a minute. Woo! I think it was on half choke. It was. She's got some balls now. I'm gonna have to tell him. He didn't even realize it. He don't fool with this thing. Like, he drove it like it come. surprise him. I mean, it still doesn't have that put you back. Like, it still doesn't have as much get up as the KDX does. But that bike's close to like 30 horsepower, 35 now. So of course, I don't know, this thing might, I think this thing has like 18 or 20, something like that. Like I said, I've put it in the description, or not the description, but I've put it in the video already. But this clutch is a little bit, which like I'm saying, it's a new bike, so it's probably just the fact that my bike has like a almost warm clutch. Because this thing, it bites really soon. Definitely, I like this bike. And I mean, I've rode 450s before, and they seem like that was just useless power. Just like way too much. I mean, at least where I'm around, it's just way too much. And this thing, I mean, it surprised me. I'm genuinely surprised. Pleasantly surprised. Okay, so for the outro of this, I kind of wanted to do like a voiceover. So, the Apollo, it was like, I think it's a 2018. It was a new one, brand new. It was a good bike, power wise, for a beginner. I could see it had a good speed, and not very good acceleration. It didn't have a whole lot of torque. But if you think it was brand new, you can get them shipped to like your local bike shop for like $1,200 to like $14, and I think he had his he had it shipped to his brother's house, fully assembled, and I think it was 16 or 17, I believe is what he said. So under $2,000. So you kind of have to ask yourself if you want to spend anywhere from $1,400 to $1,700 or $1,800 for a brand new bike, but the parts and stuff, that's, I don't know if there's any parts that are decently easy to get a hold of. I don't think they make very many aftermarket pieces or parts for it, rather than just the universal stuff like levers and stuff like that. But you could pick up an older bike, like a 250, I like KX, a Kawasaki, a KX 250, like maybe even a 2010 to 2014 ish model, something like that. Maybe a little bit newer. I don't know. I'm not exactly up on the market, but if you can either go very good parts and older, or brand new but questionable parts. Now, I don't know how long the bike will last. The frame, the down tube that goes underneath, like the engine cradle, that was kind of an iffy looking thing. It looked like it was just some pretty cheap metal. Well, I wouldn't say cheap metal, just kind of thin. But for his level, he's a beginner. He's only rode maybe 10-20 times, from what I know, his whole motorcycle career. So yeah, if you want to look at it like that, if you want brand new, like I said, if you want brand new, it's an option. It's a cheaper option. Like a brand new KX 250 is, I think, around $6,000 or $7,000. And that, some people just can't afford that. Or you, like me, I have the KDX 200. It's a 96, but it is a very good bike. It's a little bit more towards the moderate rider, which I would pretty much put myself in. I haven't jumped it many times. I wouldn't consider myself a racer, but I'm a pretty good rider. And the KDX, it can surprise me sometimes. It's very fun. It's still very exciting. So, beginners, if you're not going to be sending it off any doubles or triples or anything like that, or it can probably handle wheelies, I would assume. It's not like the TTR where the cast motor is actually part of the frame support. But it could handle wheelies more than likely, as if you're not just like slamming it down. It's a little on the taller side, but it's probably just where my bike isn't, mimicked after a race bike. Seems like every bike that I've been on a few CRFs. I haven't been on a KX. I've been on a CR, a YZ. The YZ was kind of wide. The CRs, all the Hondas I've ever been on, felt like an upright 2x4. They were very tall and narrow, and they felt very top heavy, like they wanted to kind of tip over on you. I'm not sure if that's really what you are looking for, but this bike was kind of in between. It's, from what I've heard, it's like a Honda knockoff clone kind of thing. But power wise, it was lacking. A Honda CRF 230 has, I think, 18, maybe 20 horsepower, and this thing had, some websites said 12 or like 11.54, a weird number, and then one said like 15.56 or something like that. So anywhere from like 12 to 16. So it was a little lacking for a 250. Which, they probably doesn't have like the aggressive compression and cam like a race bike does. But yeah, just in terms of, do I recommend it? If it's your only option, and if you're a beginner, like he's a beginner, I would recommend it for beginners. Especially if you're just kind of in a bind financially or whatever. But if you have the money and you ride a bit and you want to try to, do not get this bike as like a tester, like a track bike or like a learning bike to ride on the track or whatever. It probably will hurt you. Which I'm not too sure. I just from speculation and looking at the bike, it's got a pretty good main-frame thing. That center bar, like on a Honda, how that one's always like chromed out and super shiny. I don't know what type of metal it is, but that seems to be. It looks like the CRFs, that real fat piped. I don't know what they call it, but it's just the frame, I guess. The main part of the frame. The swing arm seems alright. The fenders are a little bit weird. There's kind of a lot going on around there. It kind of seems to be just unwanted confusion. I looked over the bike, and as far as I could see, unless they have different collared wires, which they very well could, I did not see a headlight wires coming out of the stator. So you would have to run run the wires to the CDI, like some people. Whenever the bike starts up, then you can turn the lights on and off from the power of the engine, the stator. But do I think? Well, it's not a bad bike, but it's not a good bike. It's not. I would say it's not a very long-lasting machine. It's definitely not designed for racing. It looks like a race bike, but it's not set up for one. It does have pretty stiff suspension, and I guess that could kind of fool some people. But once you really look at, what you're dealing with, like fork-wise, and that frame, that engine mount cradle piece, it's bolted on, and it just doesn't look to be like it would be a very sturdy option or sturdy thing. I don't know if like BBR or whatever would have any parts for it. I know they've got like mini pit bike stuff like TTRs and stuff like that for bigger riders to ride them, but I do not know if they would have anything relative to Apollo or Tao or Tato or however the crap you say it. But yeah, I would have to give, on a beginner scale, the bike about a 7. I'd give it a 7. And that's amateur, beginner. The intermediate pro, I would probably have to give it a 4 to a 4.5. It's lacking power. It's lacking structural support. If you could mock up something yourself that would be stronger and bolt that in its place, maybe just like rig up and actual fabricate yourself up something for it, then then it would be a little bit better. But I just don't trust that frame. And sometimes those Chinese frames, like the Warrior, those mini bike things that look like a Harley kind of deal, the little mini bikes, those things have really bad really bad frame materials. Like the metals that they use for their frame is really bad, and they get micro fractures and stuff really bad if you hit a bunch of stuff. So I'm not sure if Apollo is in that same category, but just keep an eye on it. If you hit something, if you bottom out in a pothole, check your bike over, make sure you don't have a cracked weld. I haven't rode it long enough. I only rode it that one day for that little time that I pretty much recorded the whole time, so what you're seeing is what I rode. I'm sorry. It is like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm filming, I'm recording this like voiceover outro kind of thing. But yeah, 4.5 for intermediate pro. It's just lacking a lot of power. And then the beginner, if you've only been riding for a couple weeks or a month or two, it would probably be pretty good, but I'd say it would bore you pretty quick. Like I said, it's fast, but it takes it a long time to get up there. It's lacking torque. But I guess for lack of repeating myself, I'm gonna go ahead and end it off here. Let me know if you guys like this kind of thing. I don't have very many friends that's getting new machines, but I'm sure that I can find certain things. I'll try to, now that I have a GoPro, I might can record myself riding that CRF 450 that's bored to 482. That would be kind of neat. But I'll catch you guys later.